Thermal fusion has quickly become the current epitome of night vision technology. By combining the detection capability of thermal with the ease of navigation and head-mounted engagement with night vision, fusion devices take on the best of both worlds and combine them into a single device. As you could imagine, these are quite cost prohibitive, with analog fusion technology costing anywhere between $6 to $45,000. Today we'll be talking about the cheapest digital fusion device on the market, the Night Operators 3.0. This device was sent out to me for free by Night Operators. There was no exchange of money and I have no affiliate links with them. I will include a link to them in the description, but no, I make no money from it and I'm not required to make a positive or biased review for them. If you have any questions about this process or want to reach out to me, hit up the email in my channel or leave a comment. To put this in perspective, these can be bought for around $500 from the Night Operators website. If you're watching this on release, they have a Black Friday sale going on, making it a bit cheaper. Please do not believe the fake $1,200 sale. This is just for marketing. These most definitely do not cost anywhere near $1,200. We will talk more about the price in opinion section. Timestamps to each part of this video are linked in the description. The Night Operators Fusion 3.0 is a hybrid night vision device that uses both an IR-sensitive camera and a thermal sensor to help you see and detect in the dark. Starting with features and controls. The housing is quite large at 5.9 inches long and 2.8 inches at the widest. The housing seems to be made out of a cheap metal, I'm guessing aluminum. It feels cheap yet rugged enough to use for some airsoft or to get dropped on some rocks. The housing is not waterproof as there are gaps in it. The device weighs 307 grams. These have an internal, non-removable battery that can be recharged with a Type-C cable. These get 4.5 hours of battery life with the IR illuminator off in the digital NV mode, 1.5 hours with the IR illuminator on, and 1.5 hours of battery life in the thermal mode. If the device is in thermal mode and the IR illuminator is active, the battery life is even less, with, in my experience, around 45 minutes to an hour. There are 4 small buttons on the top of the NVG for controls. Holding the button labeled P will power on and off the device. Clicking on it quickly will toggle the device between the NV and thermal mode. The plus and minus buttons are used to adjust contrast and brightness of the camera. Pressing the IR button toggles the IR illuminator. The eyepiece has a long eye relief and is incredibly comfortable to use. The clarity is not fantastic, but good enough in my opinion. Now, Night Operators claims this device has an adjustable diopter, but it really doesn't. Spinning the eyepiece to adjust the diopter just sends the whole eyepiece housing back out of the device. Doing this for long enough makes the eyepiece fall out of the device. Along with this, I wanted to try removing the eye cup as I don't like eye cups very much. When I removed the eye cup, I found the whole eyepiece coming out with it. Turns out you can take the piece of glass out from the eye cup. We'll talk more about this later in opinions. The display is a 1.54-inch OL display with a resolution of 320 by 320 pixels. It gives a field of view that is less than 1x for both thermal and NV. This means that when looking through the NVG, things will look smaller than they truly are. Here's a comparison of 3 NVGs taken from the same distance away. You can change the thermal color palette by clicking on a button next to the thermal sensor. In the FOV of the device is the mode and battery life indicator. To the front of the device, starting with the NV lens. As this is a dual spectrum night vision device, this has both a night vision and thermal sensor. In the center is a 6mm CCTV lens with a 25-degree field of view for the IR sensor. The lens spins nice and smoothly. It has quite a short throw, as adjusting from a 10-inch focus to infinity only takes about half a turn. If you spin it far enough counterclockwise, the lens will just come out of the device, exposing the sensor. While this has never happened to me in normal use, it is still slightly concerning. Next to the CCTV lens is the thermal sensor. The thermal objective lens is quite small with a 5mm diameter. The focus is non-adjustable and the thermal has a large 35 degrees field of view, which is massive compared to most thermals at this price point. I'll talk about sensor specs before the performance section. Next to the sensor is the IR illuminator. The IR illuminator has a 3-watt output and 940 nanometers. Just like the objective lens, if you rotate the cover on the IR illuminator enough, it will fall out of the device. Having the device in thermal mode does not automatically turn off the IR illuminator. There is no built-in indicator that shows if the IR illuminator is on or off. Onto mounting. A GoPro-style mount arm and head strap are included with the device. The mount arm is incredibly rudimentary, but it gets the job done. Really not much to say about it, except because it uses a GoPro-compatible system, it is very user-configurable. The head strap is pretty much unusable due to the weight of the device. If you want to run this on your head, I think a helmet is really the only good way to do that. Night Operators sent me a helmet shroud compatible mount that worked quite well for the review. They sell this as an add-on on their website for $25. This is literally just a bump helmet GoPro mount and could be bought off Amazon for almost half the price. This device does something that I've been personally wanting more out of budget night vision. The Fusion has 1/4 by 20-inch threads, making this device compatible with PVS 14J arms. This is a big upside, and I'll talk more about it in the opinion section. Before performance, let's talk sensors. Probably the biggest letdown on this device is the fact that it is not a true Fusion system. It cannot overlay the image on top of each other. Even if you were to modify it to do so, it would not work as both images have different field of views and magnification levels. The digital NV sensor on this device has a 60 FPS refresh rate, and one night operators claim to be a 0.1 millisecond delay. I don't think a 0.1 millisecond delay is even possible with digital technology at this point. In my testing, I found the digital mode to have a 20 to 30 millisecond delay. This is barely noticeable and very usable, just not instantaneous. Besides this, I can't find any more info on the digital NV sensor in this device. I want to stress this now. The digital NV sensor in this device is not a low light sensor. It relies solely on IR to make a usable image in darkness. Let me demonstrate this real quick. Just to demonstrate how bad the digital night vision is on the Night Operator's Fusion, I'm going to really quickly compare it to these other devices. There'll be more comparisons later on, but I just want to preset it now. This is done with my iPhone at 30 FPS, and there is no IR lights in this room or turned on any of these devices. This is purely a sensor or performance-based test. The digital night vision performance on this is so bad that I'm going to omit it for most of the performance section, as I believe this is more of a thermal device than anything else. If you are interested in digital night vision, this is not the device for you. The thermal sensor has a wide FOV 296 by 192 60Hz resolution with a pixel size of 12 micrometers. This results in an advertised maximum human detection range of about 100 yards, which I more or less agree with. The thermal sensor has less than 1x magnification and a wider FOV than the digital NV mode. The spec sheet claims that the core has a thermal sensitivity of 25 millikelvin, but I doubt that. This spec basically signifies how well the thermal camera can differentiate temperature. The lower the number, the better. Most budget thermals generally have between 30 to 40 mK, with only very high-end thermals that break the 25 to 18 mK range.
All right, to the opinions. So, before I get started, I want to say that I read every single comment and I respond to probably 95% of them. So if you have any sort of questions or comments, or if you have any experience with the Night Operator Fusion or like thermal stuff, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, or if something wasn't clear enough in the video, please leave a comment and I'd love to be able to clear it up for you. Yeah, I love comments. They're probably one of my favorite parts of YouTube. And I legitimately do read every single one and respond to most. So yeah, please leave a comment if you have any questions or you want to add something to the discussion. So I'm going to kind of break this into like 5-ish parts. First, we're going to talk about positives, like what I liked it, pros, what's good about it. Next, we're going to talk about Night Operators as a company, just kind of like how they do things, because I want to address that, because we'll get to that later. Then we'll talk about kind of issues and negatives. Like, issues and negatives are kind of the same thing, but not quite the same thing. I'd say issues are negatives that aren't supposed to happen, and negatives are just inherent to the design, if that makes sense. And then last, we got two more. We'll have kind of like hopes or wants, like what I want out of an improved version of this, or we're kind of coming from the thermal industry soon. And then last is the conclusion. So yeah, let's get right into it. So we got the Fusion right there. First of all, the sensor is actually pretty good for like casual use. So when I say that, you're probably saying like, what do you mean by that? Like this sensor would be like fantastic for airsoft, where like your maximum engagement range is probably going to be like 70-ish to 100-ish yards. I wouldn't use like milsim. If you're going to do a hardcore milsim thing, I wouldn't use this. But like for like day-to-day airsoft fields, outdoor airsoft fields, for most circumstances, I actually feel like this is a pretty good device for that. The sensor gives you this, nice wide field of view, and it can pick up things from pretty far away. Detail up close is pretty dang good. Like as you saw, the video be getting super close to the PEC 15. That's kind of a useless thing for thermal in a tactical sense. It's just kind of cool. And last, like the refresh rate, smoothness of it is adequate in my opinion. It's never bad to have like it to be smoother, but this also isn't slow enough where I feel like if you have this head mounted, you're going to be just absolutely, tripping balls. Next thing, iBox is great. This is continuing kind of connected to the airsoft situation. But a lot of thermals I've used, like the Metzmusic TMB10, like you see how tiny that little eye box is compared to that just huge thing right there. I really like that, because if you're doing airsoft, once again, you got your big goggles on. It's going to be hard. I've tried to use this at airsoft. It's really hard to get your eye up to that with goggles on. While this, you literally could hold it like pretty much that far away and still see the whole thing. I really, really like that. And last, mounting. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with mounting on this device. Mixed bag. I feel like all cheap devices just need to start doing this. This is probably like, if the NVG30 did this, I love it so much. Being able to have those 1/4 by 20 threads are fantastic. It's so nice, because this is the J-arm I use with my PVS 14. Just throw it on there, screw it on right. Got my bump. I actually switched to a Sotac Cadex recently. I like it more, but that is fantastic, right? System that's been working for analog for years now. But for all these budget devices, for whatever reason, we're always trying to make, well, I know why, it's to keep it cheap, but why not be able to use our budget, nice mounts with our budget devices if we feel like it. Now this isn't going to be super tight because I don't have a tool with me to make it tight, but being able to do that, I put that on backwards, that's kind of embarrassing, but you get what I'm saying. I might be able to rotate it around. Yeah, like be able to do that crap makes me so happy. I can use my existing mounting systems with it. It's great. Yeah, so I hate to say that that's all I really like about it, but that's about it. let's kind of talk about, let's take a brief pause between issues and negative opinions to talk about night operators as a company. So first of all, if you've seen these before or heard of them, I'm sure you keep on saying, oh yeah, they're drop shipped, and you're technically right. So as far as I'm concerned, they do have American stock, so that doesn't necessarily mean they're fully drop shipped. But they do just come in from China. Well, yeah, technically, they just come in from China and they shipped off. I've looked in a couple places and I've been able to find some on Alibaba. When I quickly did it before the review, I couldn't find it, but if I can find it while I'm editing this, I'll put it back up. Most of the ones I find actually have like 7x digital magnification, and don't have like the wide field of view that this has. So that is one thing, but I feel like as long as they are kind of transparent about where their product's coming from and that they're not like manufacturing it themselves, I feel like that's okay, but I would like some more transparency from night operators there. So there's clearly some OEM out there, and you know, if their stuff's branded, right? Like this is the box. It's not like they haven't put any work into it. They've clearly, you know, requested certain things to be changed about the device, which means once we get to issues, that's what I'm going to say. I think they could fix these things. But you know, all I'm saying is, while a lot of you guys might say, oh, it's just straight drop from China, I don't quite think that's fully true. I think that they've kind of, you know, put some input to these Chinese tech companies to help make the product where it needs to be. I hope that makes sense. So their marketing is the one thing I get really caught up on. You've probably seen the videos where they show like, you know, the devices out on the table, like, oh, this is military grade night vision, $40,000. They show the infamous at this point $40,000 PVS 14, and that is not. It's kind of stupid. Let's be real here. I don't know. It's just getting people confused. It's very much confusing the market, and like it's probably going to mess with a whole bunch of people that, you know, never would be into night vision, but they scroll past and it's like, oh, PVS 14, $40,000. It's just, I don't like the misinformation. And you know, recently they've started posting things with their military grade night vision being only $4,000, and a lot of you guys are like, oh, they finally fixed it. So this is going to get real nerdy real quick, and these are only guesses, but based off how their white phosphor PVS 14 is flickering, that means two things. First of all, the obvious thing is it's auto gating. Auto gating means it's too bright for the device to work at like its maximum potential. That is a really, really dumbed down version of it, but pretty much what's going on is that the tube is flickering itself to prevent damage, and it's not really dark enough for the tube to operate fully. So if that tells you something about their videos, that means that when they're showing this thing working, it is so bright outside or bright in the area they're with that the PVS 14 is auto gating and not fully working. Now the second part of that flashing. So out of all the tubes on the market, the only tube that has a notorious, that I can personally think of right now, a notoriously slow auto gating rate where it's, you know, very visible on camera despite any level of battery, is NNVT tubes. NNVT tubes are Gen 2 Plus tubes and are not used by any of our, you know, any Western militaries. They are used in China, stuff like that. They come from China, but they're not real Gen 3 night vision. Why I'm saying that is because even those night vision goggles, you can get a white phos NNVT PVS 14 for like $2.5 grand-ish new, and if you know what you're doing and how to build one, you could build one for like $2 grand. I saw a monocular with an NNVT tube going for like $1,300 the other day. So there's still, and from my guess and my expertise used very loosely, my experience of watching footage with NNVT tubes and I've personally used, I think 3 white phosphor NNVT tubes. I think they're using an NNVT tube and still lying about the price. That tube probably only goes for $2 grand. And because it's auto gating, they're kind of lying about performance. Yeah, I mean, it's marketing. I could see why they're doing it, but like, I think they're kind of just shooting the community in the leg, because at their price point with the products they sell, they will sell products. If they were just honest, I honestly feel like they'd have a better reception all around. If they just marketed these as toys that, you know, I mean, as you saw in the video, PVS 14s, even the NVG30 kills this thing. If they just marketed it properly, I think it'd be all right, especially with the thermal mode. Um, in the last, their whole pricing thing, being like $1,200, complete crap. They're just doing that for marketing again. They're like, oh, this is how much it could cost. Thermals cost that much, but if you're buying a like a 296 core thermal for that much money, you're stupid. The thing better be able to. I don't even know. There's no reason to buy a thermal with that price. I guess what I'm trying to say with that kind of two-part thing is like, I see why they're doing it. It's just obviously marketing, and I'm sure that I mean, once they put the previous 14 price down to $4,000, a lot less people were tweaking out, but I still people comment saying, oh, it's auto gating. I just would love some more transparency from their company, because like honestly, the thermal that they have on this device is really cool. Thermal is super cool, and it's effective at any time of the day. If they just started advertising it really honestly, and I know it's more of their other digital units that they do this with. I feel like they just have a better rep all around. So I just wanted to kind of get that out there as information for you guys, so you guys know what's going on in that. And I would love to hear what you guys think about that. Okay, so now on to issues. First of all, like the whole thing with this being able to come apart so easily is incredibly concerning to me. It just feels so cheap. That bothers me deeply, because if I'm going to use a thermal or pick it up, I know they say that this isn't for hard use. They claim it's for airsoft and Nerf though, so you got to be moving around. Like, I just took off 3 things and left sensors exposed and displays exposed in a span of 20 seconds. You shouldn't be able to do that without tools, at least. So I really want them to fix that, right? That just concerns me. I'll go and field this at some airsoft games soon, just to kind of get a sense of feel for it. And I never had any of that happen, but I know because of this, I don't think the device is going to be fully waterproof. Especially because when you plug it in, you're going to be able to see. I can see cracks. Like, you can hear that. There's cracks in there that are from manufacturing, not from like me or. Like, I think that all devices would have that. Like, it's not just it's not that it's cracked open. It's just not been sealed at all at any point. So that's really frustrating. I wish that they would do that, especially because I know $500 for thermal is cheap, but it's still $500. And like, this is a $500 device. This is a $500 device. Both these are waterproof and sealed. Like, they should have that fixed by around now. The non-1X thing is killing me, because when you're looking through a tube, you want to have a wide field of view, but if it's not a true like 1X magnification, it is kind of trippy to walk around with. The PVS 69, I got used to it, and it takes practice, but once it changes, it's just weird. Because it's not on 1X, you can't like use both a PVS 14 and this at the same time, because they just don't line up. And that's a huge shame, because if this was 1X, all of those things I'd be able to look past and be like, oh my gosh, this is a fantastic budget bridging device. Like, this would have been such a better device if the thermal was 1X. And like, last thing on the issues and kind of like cons is it's really big. The whole device is really big, and it really should be just kind of slimmed down, because there's a lot of empty space in here. Like, this is the MVG30. I'd still consider this a rather large device. You can see it's substantially larger. It's a PVS 14. Then, I mean, this is another thermal, but this has like a 12-hour battery life, and this has a like 1-hour battery life. So yeah, and the thermal sensor on this one's tiny. Like, it just jets out to the side. They should totally be able to kind of have a tiny thermal. Like, that should totally be something that works. So kind of taking all of that and going on to wants. What I really, really want is something that's like NVG 30 sized or PVS 14 sized, that has, it literally could have the exact same thermal core as this. I'm fine with the performance in this. It could be better, but at the price point that I think that they can get these at, I'm completely fine with them having having this exact thermal core in there. If they can do that, I don't need the digital night vision. I could care less about it. It's useless. We've already established that. They could do the thermal, completely waterproof it, make it this size with a true 1X, right? True 1X, PVS 14 style mounting, which they already did, and some sort of adjustable system where you can make it bridge. I would buy so many of these. I that would be so cool. And if you were able to keep it at like $500, I mean, you arguably could already push it to a little bit higher at like maybe 700, and just completely get rid of the digital thing on it. That would be incredible. There'd be so much demand for that. That's really what I want, and I honestly think that this is a good kind of bridge over to this next thing of kind of getting these cheaper, like, thermals meant more for like navigation aid, like I'm saying, detecting while navigating, than like static observation. Like, I feel like this is kind of a cool way to see that we're kind of getting closer to cheap versions of that. But like, if they were able to make a clone of like the Skeet IR, something like that, not like Skeet IR, but like the Infrared RH25, if they started figuring out ways to make these super cheap thermal clone versions of those that could just be for bridging with the PVS-14 to give yourself like a pseudo overlay, that is what I think the industry like needs, and that would be incredible. If you agree with that, please let me know in the comments, and if there's a product already like that out there, please let me know, because I'd love to check that out. Wrapping this up, and in conclusion, do I think that you should buy this? Anytime you're considering something, I think you should ask yourself questions, but if you're thinking about buying this right now, I'd ask you, what are you using this for? If the plan is for hunting or something, I would not recommend that. I would recommend just one of those like stick looking thermals off Amazon. These go for like anywhere between $350 to $500, and they have a far better distance recognition than this device. I mean, the night operators, and just are, ruggeder, if that's a word, waterproof, and there's tons of experiences out there of people liking them. I would recommend the AMG, I think it's the Taipan 256, and this is the Metzmusic TNV10. I have a video on it. It's all right. It's pretty good. If you're a hunter, I'd recommend this over that. I think they're selling these for like $350 right now on Amazon. So if you're a hunter and you're trying to find a good budget thermal device, I don't think this is it. If you're just trying to get some cool thermal videos at the range, or just want to kind of, check out thermal imaging, maybe. The wide FOV is cool. It is kind of a cool look into thermal. People always think it's super cool when I give it to them, as like a loaner device or something like that. Or like a tool in your house to catch like animals in your garage or something. Maybe, it's great for those kind of close range, wide FOV stuff. Airsoft, I'm kind of half and half on. So I think if you're going to do milsim, I think you shouldn't do that. You should invest in like a hunter style one, something that's long range. But if you're doing like outdoor airsoft matches, I actually think this might be a really good choice, because you have the super wide end back there, super wide FOV, great for detecting 100 yards in. I think this is a great choice. Like, this is going to stay in my airsoft kit for sure. Besides that, I honestly really don't know. The thing I like doing with my style of videos is I just give you all the facts up front and then give you my opinions, because I think that I don't think it's really smart just to base your opinions entirely off someone else's opinions. I'll give you my experience. I think it's smart to base your opinions off someone's experience with the device. But yeah, that's kind of it. Once again, thank you so much. If you made it here, if you listened to all my rambling, that's incredible. More of you guys have been doing that in the past. I realized with like my last video, the ADMV one, there's a lot of you guys in there that actually made it really close to the end. So thank you for that. I'm sorry this video wasn't necessarily as high quality as I wished it to be. I've been working like a lot on tons of different small projects right now, just like all phases of my life. So I haven't had too much time to work on this, but I hope it was, enough quality content for you guys to make good decisions on, or, be informed about this device. Once again, please leave comments. If you have any more questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer any of them as long as they're coherent and I can read them. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much, guys. I got a lot of cool stuff coming. Yeah.